welcome to episode 30 of Two Peas in a Podcast. With me and my guest, the Snake God, who, as you guys know, will join us as soon as he can this morning. Welcome. Thank you for everybody who's joining in. Good morning, Rock. Good morning, Candy. Please, as you come in, please share this video out. We definitely are going to be talking about a sensitive subject, but we got adults in our audience and we're going to be able to have this conversation and hopefully come up with some great ideas collectively. All right, KT. So, KT, let me explain. So, intentionally on Saturday, I didn't want the show to go too long because I was so indulged in what Jay was doing over on his channel for USARK Florida. And it was absolutely amazing. If you guys was not able to join in, when I tell you it was absolutely amazing, it was definitely amazing to see the dedication that he put in to sit 36 hours in his reptile enclosure, no, without sleep, limited food because he couldn't eat so much, so he would not have to be able to have to excrete himself more than he needed to be stuck into an enclosure. They raised over, I do not have the exact number with me. It was over 10,000. So the goal was definitely met. The milestones were super amazing. I shared some of them on Saturday. Eating mealworms, eating wax worms. He had to shave wax. We made keys wax. We challenged other people to wax. Uncle Mike wax. Like, it was just crazy. It was just so much fun raising the money and watch how everyone was committed to keeping him awake throughout the night. I woke up at one point, I think it was like 4 or 5 in the morning. It was literally 3 or 4 people on the panel with Jay. So shout out to Jay, and a specific shout out to Military Morphs, both Kayla and Max, who was right by his side the entire time. Shout out to Daniel of USARK Florida, Elizabeth, Kevin McCurley, Billy, all of the major people, Jay Brewer, who actually made a great big donation to get them over the 10,000 towards the end. We rocked together, and I'm proud to be a part of this community this morning. It was really a fulfilling weekend. What else? Last night, we did a USARK panel. We had the honor of having Vanessa on the panel on Gary's channel on YouTube. If you did not get a chance to see it yesterday, please go to YouTube and Constricted Addicted is the channel. Gary did a live last night. It was myself, the amazing Aubrey Pruitt, who is one of the, elite retic breeders out there. He also does water monitors as well. And of course, Earl from Lone Star was on. Anytime it's a USARK conversation, it's great to have Earl on. I love. He has that same passion that a lot of us have, and so and he's had to have it for so much longer. And he's extremely active in the state of Texas and in his city to make sure that the laws, he believes in policing too. We talked about that, but that the laws are actually fair for the people that actually are in the state of Texas. So shout out to Earl and Gary for hosting such an amazing panel. And what I would like to see when everybody sees USARK, yes, Elias, when everybody sees USARK, to run to see what that conversation is about. I know you guys hear it all the time. I know that we all, probably everybody on this channel, are members. But what we need to do is to make sure that we are a part of the conversations as well. And so support those channels who are making focus on USARK, because with them, we actually are going to be able to build a larger community and membership to protect our hobby. And, we came for every single day. People are coming for us every single day. And so if you have not experienced any of the Jay's Reptiles event this weekend, you I don't think you can go back and watch it because Instagram doesn't keep it, right? Doesn't save it. But there was a lot of like live chat and photos and live snapshots that people actually posted that can help you understand how amazing this day was. So shout out to them again. We're going to get into our topic as usual, but I also wanted to share with you guys right now. After every Tinley, we update this intro, and we finally got it to come through. And so many, looking at this intro compared to the last intro, first of all, I cannot have an intro that's 10 minutes long. There were so many pictures, so I picked pictures of certain moments that were, a good memory, like a highlight for Tinley. And a lot of my retic people are in here too. So it's pretty cool to see how year after year the community comes more and more together. And seeing things like Elias said, what Jay did, how emotional it was. He was sacrificing himself for no benefit to himself. It was all for us in U.S. Art. I was pleased to support, donate, and even won an auction for some isopods. So I'm going to get the isopod kit and try to start my own isopod. So I think that was so amazing. There was some great snakes given away, high-end snakes. Kevin McCurley put some water monitors on the table. It was just amazing. It was just absolutely amazing. I cannot say enough about that event in our community. So, but let's go ahead, and they saved the lives every time they got kicked out at the 4-hour mark. Oh, awesome. Okay. I didn't even know you can do that. That's why we have Elias, because I thought they just disappeared. If you did. So if you save them, I guess they stay. So that's amazing. So yes, if you can go back and just pick some of the live, and of course it was 36 hours, but pick some of the live so you can get just a taste of what he did do, the sacrifices he did make. So the 1,000 mark, the 4,000 mark, I think it was, and 5,000 and maybe 8,000 was the funniest. And then of course at the very end, 10,000. Although he didn't make it by 10 o'clock, he still shaved his head because the 10,000 plus did happen. So by the end, he was in a bikini, bald in a lot of places, including his eyebrows and his head, tired as all outdoors, hungry, but he got through it. So it was just great to see the community support him through it as well. So let's go and see who made the cut for this intro.
Oh
the YouTube approved music I can find. Yes, I really enjoyed it. So every Tinley, so the next time I will update that will be October Tinley. So how do you make the cut? Is somehow we got to take pictures. I did not take as many pictures as normal because I was actually volunteering for US Arc on Saturday. But if I had posted every picture that I had, this video would still be playing. And so I just kind of select them. Good morning, beautiful. It's Lindsay in the house. So yes. Yes, Lindsay, I love it. I love it. It's like a bluesy R&B. Thank you. Hey, Tammy. Good morning. DJ Busy in the house. You got it, KT. Thanks, Elias. Yes, absolutely. So we're 3 minutes away from our prayer time. We're going to get that rocketed at about 8:15. So I did want to talk about just a couple more things before we get into prayer, and then we'll get into today's topic. Remember that you still can donate to Brian Barchak by going onto his page. The links are there, or the pages are on Instagram. They are pinned in the Reptile Army. You can go there and make donations as well. But, support any way that you can. And again, for him, if you financial support is secondary to just the support of the community being there and just cheering him on. He starts chemo tomorrow. For anybody who ever experienced a family member going through chemo, it is not easy. Just the mental torture of what is this about to do to my body? So if you thought you were sick before, how sick am I going to get, and will I get through it? So this is going to be the time that I'm sure that our notes on his videos and our messages is going to be uplifting to him. So just continue to support him in that way. And just keep everybody in prayer and keep everybody lifted who may be going through cancer. We never know, guys. It could be one of us any given day. That's the one thing that I always say, is that I give enough myself to the cause of cancer, because I never know when it's going to be me. And as long as I can give myself and I'm physically fit, I want to do that for our people who suffer, because that's one of the diseases that I just think the United States could do better with. I have my thoughts and theories, but I don't like to be theoretical. I like to say factually. I do believe that we can do more as a country. But until then, we're going to keep doing what we can do. Good morning, Ray Blade. Candy, let me go back up. I missed your comment. I wanted to. This my baby boy, Caden, said hi. He remembered I did the live with you. Hey, Caden. Awesome. Awesome. All right, so we're going to be talking today, as you know, prepare yourselves for the Second Amendment. And I thought, honestly, within our reptile community, we've seen a lot of this conversation in the last couple of weeks. And whenever there is a school event, we see that conversation. But we want to talk about some of the conversation that me and Dre have seen and our, positions on them. And then get you guys to share in the chat, your positions as we go through some of the topics that we're going to discuss today. But right now we're going to go ahead and bow our heads again to whatever you believe and whatever higher power. Meditate if that's what you need to do, if prayer is not your thing. But if you can just join us for just this 1 minute so we can just send a prayer up for our reptile brother, Brian Barchak. Father God, it's Monday, and as promised, we are committed to come to you together as a community at 8:15 a.m. every Monday until Brian is healed. We know that tomorrow he enters into a new phase of treatment, and we know that phase is always puzzling and troubling for the person who is actually receiving the chemotherapy and the family. We ask that you comfort them. We ask that you continue to shed light on him, because clearly, Lord, you are with him. Every video that he posts is amazing to know that he's still able to present himself upon his people and his people who support him, even as he go through. And regardless of what the outcome is, God, that will be a light, a beacon of light for somebody else who actually has to endure this battle in the future. We ask you, God, that you continue to put your arms around his son, specifically, who is working hard to hold it down in the reins. And Lord, put your arms around his wife to keep her strong, because she's have to be the strength for him. And Lord, we ask that you protect the reptarium, all of the animals. Let no life be lost through this process, because we're dealing with enough stress amongst the family now. And the last thing we know, we don't want our brother to have to experience anything that is detrimental for his reptarium or his animals. Keep his family protected as they walk through the other phases of their life, because life still goes on. They cannot be by him every moment, as I know they will want to be. And we ask that you do this and all things in your strength. And in your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you. All right. So let's get into the Second Amendment. So we know what that is. It's the right to bear arms. And it's deeper than that. Like I actually was going to read the entire Second Amendment, but we most of us read it in school enough in government. We understand the gist of it. I think that one of the things that a lot of us don't recognize, if you read the Second Amendment in its entirety, it's the right to bear arms. We lost the right to bear arms as it was written a long time ago. So gun laws has already defeated and changed what the right, as it was given to us in the Constitution, has been changed. So gun laws has already took us away from the right. So we've already been operating on a limited right to bear arms. As a responsible gun owner, one of the things that I always say when some things happen in the country is, where did the guns come from? As a grandmother, as a mother who once had small children, never, ever, ever with anyone except for my husband, and even then we keep separate gun safes for a reason, but including my husband could not have access to my guns. He has a backup code to my safe, but he has to enter through that code. Nobody else has that code. Nobody else will get that code. And it puzzles me how the people who commit these crimes get the guns that they get. Now, sometimes it is a person who legally obtained the gun. And this is where I can agree that gun laws may need to come into place. So the AR-15 is a gun that always comes up. Definitely a powerful gun. Definitely can do mass destruction, right? My AR-15 locked up in my safe can't do any destruction to anyone. Why do I have an AR-15? I've been asked that. Like, what do you plan on? You never know what's going to happen in the world. But I will say, I believe in being prepared for any and everything, right? But the main reason I have an AR-15 is not hoping to ever, or any gun. Most responsible gun owners do not want to ever have to use that gun. Like, that is your training so that you would know to use it secondary to other things. So we talk about, Dre jokes with me about knives all the time. One of the things that I like to focus on and learn how to do is let the gun to be second when it can be second. So even if you're in a situation and you're close up with somebody, if you can flip that knife and you can jab real fast, you may not always have to use the gun. Like, so we are taught to use it, especially in the state of Maryland. It's not our first point of defense. Even if someone is taking your car out your driveway, you have no right to shoot that person. That's a thing. It's a car. We're talking about life, right? where you are able to utilize that gun in this state is when there is imminent present danger and there's no other way out. Like you have made a determination, there's no other way. This is my only way to pull and draw and shoot to be able to defend myself. If you're in a car and someone's shooting at you in the state of Maryland, you cannot shoot back. Now, do I think that's a problem with that law? I do. Because although the gun, the car gives some protection, it doesn't give you a lot of protection. Somebody can shoot the engine in the car and blow me up. So I should be able to shoot back, right? So one of the problems that I have when people start to talk about gun laws is this. Gun laws protect the people, or gun laws protect the criminals. So, for instance, a criminal comes up and his mind is already made up. He's going to rob Lil Nicole Tisdale. He watched me go into Walmart. He watches me come back out of Walmart. His mind is already made up. He got one up on me because me coming out of Walmart, even with me being the way that I am, I'm always on point. You're never going to catch me slipping unless I'm in some government building that it says you just cannot bring it in here. And in those buildings, they should have all other kind of protection for me. Okay. And if they don't, government, I can't come to that building. Okay. But I'm coming out of Walmart. He has one up on me. I'm ready to go get into my car. He has one up on me with his illegal gun, unregistered, serial number taken off, all of that. The only thing that half protects me is the right that I have to wear and carry a gun. Now, in Maryland, you can wear and carry or you conceal and carry. I have a wear and carry. I believe in concealing when I'm out there because I have one up on him if he don't know that I have one. So I don't want him to know I have one. I have one up on him if he don't know I'm having one. Now in my household, I conceal all day because if someone comes in here, it's going down and the law protects me in that way. But we have to do things legally. As a person who legally purchased in here in Maryland, you have to go to classes in school. You have to prove that you can use your muscle memory, take tactical classes to make sure that if you see two people together, if you can determine if it's a good situation, is the police having someone that he took, he's protecting, or if it's a bad guy with a child is trying to kidnap and things like that. Like you go through these tactical things that you have to pay attention to when I am able to shoot. Right. And if you fail those courses, you can. If you shoot the deputy protecting a baby, you're not going to pass the course. You have to be able to utilize your senses in that way. But in other states, that is not the law. In other states, you can just go show your ID, purchase a gun, and that's it. No one verifies that person is trained for that gun. No one verifies the mental state of that person. That, to me, is where the laws need to be reviewed, right? My son, as you know, should not be able to go and get a gun. He is mentally disabled according to the federal 01 code of intellectual and disability. So he should not be able to go, no matter how. Do I teach him how? Yes. So we do teach him how to use a gun in here. And the reason is that if somebody comes in this house, and let's say, for instance, for whatever reason, they tie me up, they tie my husband up, my son still needs to know how to protect himself, right? So we do teach him how to handle a gun. We do take him to the range, but he should not be able to go and buy a gun himself that he can access at any given time. That is a problem. That is a problem. And the problem is only in places because here in the state of Maryland, you have to go through it takes you a while before you actually receive your actual license. They do a full background. They do a phone calls to people that you work with at one point in time. They check, you have a conversation with your spouse, your siblings, whatever. They do a full investigation to determine, is this person capable of making a sound decision when utilizing a gun. So I do believe the problem is that, and I can't say the state of Maryland, I think the state of Maryland is too strict. If I'm using that as an example, it's too strict. Maryland is too strict on gun laws. And Maryland also has one of the higher crime rates. That's my thought. Too strict on gun laws, higher crime rates. But there's other states that's too soft. And that's a problem too. My other thing is that we often talk about guns in schools and things like that. So I'll use this scenario, and I'm a grandmother, and I was also a mother of small children. And I remember on September 11th, the first thing I thought about, because I was 40 minutes away from my kids who was in daycare because I was at work, who was going to protect my kids on September 11th? And my take on protecting our things against mass shootings in schools is, can you imagine if a teacher who wanted to, I don't think people should carry guns who don't want to carry guns. I am not a believer of that. I don't believe it should be forced. You should want to, right? But if you have a school and the teacher who want to carry has a concealed locked safe in their desk, the principal has a concealed locked safe in their desk with protection, that if someone comes to the school and the first shot you hear, that there's enough people in that school to make sure another second shot don't sound, or somebody don't go to the first, the second, and third floor to kill children. We have to find a median, and the median is not gun laws, and we have enough of those. Now, do we need to make sure that they are federally kind of equal? I think so. I don't think that you should be able to just go and walk in and show an ID and get a gun anywhere. I think everybody should have a waiting period. I think that the background check that Maryland does, it takes about 90 days. I think it should. I'm not against that at all. Before they say, hey, Mrs. Tisdale, here's your gun. In Maryland also, you cannot, unless you have a collector's permit, you cannot buy multiple guns at the same time. You can buy one handgun, one pistol, wait 30 days and buy another one from the time that you purchased the last one. So if I am a psychopath who's trying to collect guns, I'm not going to be able to do that quick enough legally, right? So I get the whole thought and process of how people feel, the emotions behind it. But I think what never happens is that people who are not into them as sport or protection do not understand the purposes they really served, and all that they see is the ugly that it does in the country. Thank you, babe. And not the protection that it does. There's many scenarios. It's like the other day, there was a grandmother who was running a food truck, and someone tried to rob her, and because she was licensed and she was able to carry, he got. And we had one grandmother alive instead of one grandmother dead because she was able to have one up on the criminal. Because I'm sure he wasn't expecting grandma. She was, I think they said she was like 69, to have a gun on her. When he attempted to pull the gun on her and rob her for her hard work that she did for her family that day. That is the issue. So I'm going to come to the chat because I know we have some statements in the chat. Good morning, Holly. Good morning, Stan. Good morning, Rock. If I didn't already say, I think you might have been one of the first ones in, but just make sure. Okay, so this is Elias says, my only stance is there need to be stricter requirements and mental evaluations for anyone to get a gun. If a mass shooter is or was a minor, the parents need to be punished. I totally agree. So that's where that responsibility piece come in. Elias, like I just said, I agree. If somebody else get their hands on my gun, other than knocking me over my head, you know what I mean, and getting one up on me, you know what I mean? But even then, how they're going to drag my body to use my thumb for the biometric safe to get in, right? That's another protection. Like in here, we don't believe in having just keys and passcodes. You know, our kids at 13, 14 get savvy. They start to figure out passcodes or watch you move your fingers and stuff like that. And that's what mommy code is. So we also have it where you need the biometric. So unless I'm already deceased and you put my thumb on it, you shouldn't be able to get it. So I agree with you there. That's where the laws have to be stricter. If not just your children get their hands on your gun, but anyone. One of the ways that I carry is I love to carry. Sometimes if I have on a clothes that maybe I don't want it in my flashbang, which is my favorite way because you just don't know it's there. My favorite way to carry, and I can wear any outfit with that. But I also sometimes like to wear it across in my Jesse James pocketbook. Looks just like a regular fancy little pocketbook, and it has a holster in it, and I'm ready to go. But if I put that pocketbook down anywhere, I have to think about this entire time I'm wearing this pocketbook. I have to remember it has to stay on me because I have to protect protect it from other people. And if somehow it gets off of me, let's say if I'm negligent and I leave the pocketbook in the bathroom, I'm responsible for what happens. And I should be. And that's the type of seriousness we should have. But to say, and then same thing with assault rifles. I agree with the fact that you should not be able to, I just don't think you should be able to buy them even if you're less than 21. I think a parent should still be buying, or some adults should be buying them, or you should not be able to buy them at all until you're 21. And most people, even at 21, are not mature enough, I think, to have assault rifles unless you're properly trained on them. And you have, like, some families come a family of sports. Like, I'm not against kids shooting. I can't wait to take Skylar to the gun range. But what she knows now is all about gun safety. She knows I carry one. She knows why I do what I do with one, why I put it where I put it, where you better not ever attempt to even come near. But even if she did come near, she can't get in it. It's impossible for her to get in it. So how do these kids get access to these guns? How do these criminals get access to these guns? Because if you're breaking in somebody's house, if you're buying the appropriate safe, you can't move that safe. That's why they cost so much. So we have to take that. Gun ownership is expensive. The proper holster is expensive. The proper bullets is expensive. Practicing to properly shoot it is expensive. All of that. And these are conversations that we need to verify. I think that you should verify the income of a 16-year-old who's buying guns. That should be a flag for you as well. But do I think a 16-year-old should be able to buy a gun? No, I don't even think a parent should be able to give a 16-year-old gun. I don't. That's my personal opinion. But I also am aware that there are people like me. Let's use a normal person, or Dre. Hey, Dre. A normal person. Well, Dre, semi-normal, but a person. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm being nice. I'm come back. Let me normal. I was like, a normal person, a responsible person, a father who don't want to go to jail. I got to be for and all of that. But one day he snaps and uses a gun. He's legally registered to keep it. He's legally able to have it, right? He's trained to shoot it. But one day he snaps and he uses it. The penalties on Dre should be life without the penalty of, without the choice of parole. That's my thought. Like, I don't think that you can say because I went crazy and killed somebody, and not just with this. I don't think that should be an excuse, period. I think there should be a section in the prison for crazy people, because I do think that people do have mental issues. But if your mental issue is so bad that you would take a weapon and kill somebody, that's beyond just repair. You need to be locked up somewhere, confined somewhere, and it should not be an excuse, because that's another thing I can't stand is that, the person just killed 15 people, but they were getting therapy for sexual assault for 10 years. Okay, I get it. I get the childhood trauma. But it's not an excuse to go and kill 15 people. It's not. And that is the yeah, go ahead, Dre.
I was going to say, if that's the case, they definitely shouldn't have had a gun.
But that's going to the point that Elias was talking about, and we were saying that the problem is that there is, and the laws in each state, like the laws where Dre is are totally more relaxed than the laws where I am. But it has to be consistent. Like, I think I should be able to carry my gun anywhere in the United States if the laws are federally consistent. So what goes for Texas should go for Maryland. But the problem is that Texas and Maryland would never come to a median of what those laws really should look like. People in Texas and Florida don't want you having them going to classes like we got to do up here in Maryland, Dre. They don't want, South Carolina don't want to have a 30-day wait to purchase a gun. So, but just that little bit of flexibility of the people with the law, I think it's not going to stop everything. You still going to have the crazy person, permitted or not, that slips through the cracks, or the person whose heart was so broken by their spouse that they decide they're going to kill their spouse that day. What I do is we just talk about it in advance. That's probably going to happen to you, bro. So we just try to just not. That's probably what's going to happen, bro. But so we just going to try and not go there. But no, seriously, I just think that, you can't, you even in that situation, which I can tell you, if you know me, I will probably be on 150. I have to understand that's not the right thing.
This is why I stay on the Cole's good side, John.
That's not the right thing.
I'm a shoot back, but
I'm just saying, like, you just got to make sure that you have to control your emotions. But that's another thing. In Maryland, it teaches you things about yourself when you do the application. You have to ask these questions, answer these questions, and let me tell you, they can get you caught up. I'll give you a perfect one. Until July of this year, if you smoke marijuana, this is how you can get caught. In the state of Maryland, right? If you smoke marijuana and you commit crime and you have marijuana in your system, you violated your right to carry that gun, because it states that, you can't say, it says, do you abuse marijuana? Well, there's no way to test for abuse of it. Even it's in your system. You know what I'm saying? It's not like cocaine. It's in your system. Right. Or it's not. So imagine you shooting somebody to defend yourself, even a robber, because that's happening. If y'all look right now, look how many people are suing people who legally shot them because they were trying to rob, steal, or kill from them. Like, there's so many people who think they have the right from jail to do that. But if you were in violation of any of those boxes you check, like, I know I don't indulge in illegal activities and this, and they find out during the investigation that you do, that's how they get us. So we have to, I do think that not being able to carry your gun in Maryland, for example, to a bar is stupid to me. I think the responsibility should be, you have your gun on you, dummy. Just like you don't get too drunk to drive, you don't get too drunk to shoot. It's that simple. You have, or if you plan on getting there drunk, you have to say to yourself, leave my gun at home, and you're taking that risk of being unprotected for the time that you're actually getting intoxicated. But we don't need, not everybody can carry their alcohol, and manage it that way. It's just like everybody can drink and drive, not that you should anyway, but some people can do it and be fine. Other people, like myself, depending on what I'm drinking, y'all better hope the hotel room is right upstairs. You don't want me behind a wheel.
Listen, I be watching her intently, like
you don't want me
the last time she had to watch me.
Oh yes, it was you. I was like, what is wrong? Right. But that's my whole point. Like, you don't know if you're sound enough. Y'all know what alcohol do. We're not going to sit here and act like we're not adults. It's not, guns and alcohol do not go together, just like alcohol and a whole lot of things. And same thing is drugs and alcohol. But I'm not concerned about a person who smokes marijuana. It's just not like they're hoping that you
they're
don't.
They're
hoping that you don't blow that high today.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but yeah, they gonna hope. They gonna be like, they're either gonna do one of these, or damn, I'm hungry.
Yeah. So
no, I agree.
I'm right next to Pennsylvania, right? Dre, you are too. In Pennsylvania, if you have a crime that carried a 2-year sentence, you can't own a firearm, even if it's a misdemeanor. So I would tell you that Maryland is like that too, but it's more on the felony and the 2-year misdemeanor. But this is crazy. Do you realize that I can't carry my gun in Pennsylvania? That's where I have an issue with the laws. Do you know how quick I'm in Pennsylvania? How quick I'm in
I personally feel like if you're licensed in your state, you should be licensed in every other state in the United States, because you took that extra step to actually do it the proper way. And you have your life. Like I don't understand. There's so many things about the Second Amendment that I don't understand. Like an 18-year-old can buy an AR-15, which is one of the most deadly weapons right now, but they can't drink.
Oh, right.
Make it make sense. They can serve their country. They can shoot a gun, but they can't drink. And don't get me wrong, drinking ain't for everybody. I get it.
Sign on a life insurance policy.
So my thing is, and the reason behind that is at 18 years old, the brain isn't fully enough to develop to handle alcohol, but they can handle an assault rifle. Come on now, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Some of the state laws are BS as well. In Colorado, I had a concealed carry permit, and in New York, own a pistol. Well, New York, again, is one of the places that we can't even take a gun, and that's why I say where what Dre is saying is it doesn't make sense. But Dre, the reason is that the federal and the state laws to get a gun are so varied, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that has to happen is the education that we have to go through. I think one of the things Maryland do right is that they make sure, okay, we verify that we taught you what the law is, even down to the extreme of what you should and should not do. We taught you how the mechanics of this gun work. We made sure that you can shoot it accurately. So if y'all ever heard the story, before me actually taking classes, I could only do headshots. That was not going to get you licensed in the state of Maryland at all. In fact, they will make sure that you don't get licensed. So I had to practice over and over and over again to hit center mass. Over and over again. And now I won't even attempt to do a headshot because I know I can do that. So center mass is the only time I shoot, because if I hit somebody on that first shot in a headshot, in a situation where it did not have to be a headshot, I have lost my freedom. And they're
going to tear you up in court.
Right.
They're going to say it was excessive. You didn't have to do this. You didn't have to. And like so I was listening on my way from taking my daughter to school, and you said something that's very true.
The criminals had one up on us.
The laws for gun owners, those laws are against us.
Mm-hmm. They are so against us.
When I tell people all the time, that Second Amendment right is just what it is. It is the right to carry. Outside of that, that's it. It ain't a right to shoot. And in some situations, it ain't even a right to defend yourself. Because literally, there was a case here some years ago where a guy broke into somebody's house and a guy shot him with a shotgun. And he went to court and sued him. And they said that he used excessive force. And he won. And I'm just like, how are you so what was he supposed to just, hey, don't do that? Like, what else are you supposed to do? And then like, the world we live in now, people are tired because it's crazy. Prices of everything going up. So I don't know about y'all, but somebody coming and trying to steal my stuff that I've worked hard for. Yes.
So that's why one of the things we were talking about, you might have seen it on the USCCA website. The gun ownership increasing is not just because New York and Maryland and places like that switched their laws to weigh and carry. A lot of it is because of the state of the world. So if you go back to when you was learning U.S. government, they talked a lot about the militia. They talked a lot about you being able to protect yourself under martial law. They talked a lot about that. So you got millennials now who they took that to heart long before these laws started changing, and they was making sure they was getting their rights by any means necessary to carry. The problem is that there are too many states, South Carolina being one of them. I think, sorry for y'all in South Carolina, but I think I remember when I first started dating my husband is from South Carolina, and he had a South Carolina ID, and we were in South Carolina, and I watched him go and buy guns, and I felt like we just went to 7-Eleven and came out with 2 sodas. And I remember looking at him and like, that's all y'all got to do to buy a gun here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, our process is seamless here too. It's pretty. So I have 15 total. I bought my first 5 before I even got my license. Before I even decided to go get my license, I bought my first 5.
And see, that should change. I think that the
I
license,
agree.
you know what I mean, should
I
come
agree.
with the education piece, the proper use of it. Because another thing, like if y'all saw the TikTok, and the TikTok where the girl just killed her husband, I'm gonna say to you guys, if you watch that video, no matter how angry she was, and people saying that she meant to do it, she did not. She really was uneducated about the one in the chamber. If you hear her scream after that gun go off, when she pulled that trigger, she thought that gun was empty. You know, she thought she was gonna be like playing, like, yeah, you know, you can hear it all in her voice, like, yeah, 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 you know, this, and she thought she was gonna play with her kids right there. But she was uneducated about one in the chamber. You know how many people are uneducated? I told my husband until I met him, I didn't know about one in the chamber.
Listen,
I
you
knew
want to
we cleared, and the gun, when you took the clip out, everything was out.
you want to know how many people are uneducated about guns? Go to a gun show. I'd be like,
what a range.
unfortunately, as much as I hate to say it, a lot of it is our people getting this, getting that because they heard it in a song. They got to get a Draco.
Okay. I'm glad you said that, because that's a fact. Just like, y'all, we gonna go. Let's bear with us. We got to go down the race thing right now. Just some things are just real. Okay, some things are just real. It's no different from, and y'all know this, that I will not fly with a black pilot, and that is because black people, we wasn't born and come on, y'all, and say I want to be a pilot. No, if you see a black pilot, his people forced him most of the time to go into the military. He flew one day. He thought it was cool, and now he's a pilot. Where other people come out the womb wanting to be a soldier because my daddy was a soldier, my granddaddy was a soldier, my great granddaddy was a soldier, and I want to watch a 9-year-old Caucasian child with an AR-15, and then go grab any of your 9-year-old cousins in the black community with the AR-15 and put them side by side. And I don't even care if their parents have guns. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way that white people train their kids, they start very, very early. Number one, guns are not taboo in their households.
It's not. It's like John Wick versus Loke Dog from Don't Be a Menace.
And so, and they show that I would say that community actually shows that you can do this with kids effectively.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's
that, you know, all black people are not that way. It's just we're talking about
it's a large population of us because again, you know, you hearing all and don't get me wrong, you know, I listen to my good bit of rap, but I'm not letting it influence my life. You know, I'm not letting it influence the decision making that I'm doing. Like again, as a gun owner, most people who have guns knows a Draco ain't nothing. You're not about to kill nobody with a Draco because they're inaccurate and you can't stabilize it. And people out here, oh, I got the Draco, I got the. Good for you. But what are you gonna do with it? Most places here.
I got the Draco. Let me tell you what I'm gonna do with it.
But I'm saying, hold on. Most places here won't even let you bring Dracos into the range because they're so inaccurate. There's
so
nothing.
We can use them here. So yeah, so we always joke about that with even when we're at the range. So in the outdoor ranges, that's the joke. To hit the target. Because if you're using the AR-15 to protect yourself, you're not worrying about the target. You're not.
No.
You're not, right? Facts. That's just facts. But it's so cool for the sports side of it to shoot, you know, and that's just so that's the other part of it. We forget that guns is a sport, just like basketball, football, hunting.
It's a fun sport too. For me, I got into it. Number one, for protection, just because it's crazy. It was I got my first one like right now. We had just had like another mass shooting, and somebody kept bringing it into my apartment, and my daughter had just been born, and I was like, oh yeah, we can't have that. And then I start shooting, and I'm like, man, this is some good stress reliever right here. Like the feeling I get when I feel that round leave the chamber, damn, tearing it up, emptying the whole mag, but it made me want to learn more about it because I do have a daughter and I want to make sure I don't want to be one of those, and I understand it's not always on purpose. However, I don't want to be one of those negligent parents to where my daughter stumbles across one of my guns and she hurts herself or another No, that for me can't happen. So I had to, make sure I had to look at the different type of guns and how they all work and how I should be securing them and the best way to do this, the best way to holster, the best way to carry, and all of that. So it's a lot of education and what I don't understand is like, I'm sorry again, this is a race statement. Our people, a lot of these laws that are put in place weren't for our people. They were put in place before we were even considered people. So the simple fact that you think it's okay to go get these guns and not get a license, not get anything on it, they make you get a license to drive a car. So why would you not think that getting a license, regardless of if it's required or not, just because it's the law, don't make it okay. Slavery was once okay in the world. So just because you think it's not required doesn't mean it's okay. You're shorting yourself. And it's always that one person that shorts themselves and then they shoot themselves trying to put their gun in their pants. It's a lot of them that's out there. They put it in there, one in the chamber, no holster. And why are you trying to put your gun in your pants with your finger on the trigger, first of all?
Well,
and
even
it's just
handed it to your child, not knowing that it's one in the chamber. You know the first thing that a child is going to do when you hand them a gun? They see it on video games.
Because they want to see, just like with toys, they want to see the action part of it.
Yeah.
So they want to see how I react. So even when I go to like the gun store or anything like that, or if I'm having a gun conversation, if they're like, "Oh, I want to see it," okay, cool. We unloading the whole thing. That's it.
That is, look, it's so true. But Elias, that's true. My story is not shotgun. The story was the first time I shot a 44. So as a younger girl, my first gun was a 380, and then I had a 357, but I shot it with 38 bullets. So one day I go to the range with my then boyfriend, and he hands me a 44. And I shot that thing, and my arm felt like it did like this. And for a long time, I would not shoot a high caliber gun. So to my point is, Elias, you learned something that day. So it's good to say, okay, like my husband just recently took his daughter for the first time. First of all, Al baby, she cleaned that target. She was good. I don't know. I'm like, she must have practiced this on me. You checked the boyfriends lately? Like, she was good. But he gave her a 22, then he gave her the 9. And he let her determine which one that she was more comfortable with. So she chose the one that she was more comfortable with. And then as she gets more and more experience in actually holding, stance, grip, and all of that, then he will give her something greater. But she loved it. That was her first time at the gun range. And I didn't know how, because she's a little prissy. I didn't know how she was going to like it. She loved it. She loved it.
So to this comment, so it was like my second time at the range, and I was feeling myself. I let my cousins talk me into renting a gun, which was a bad idea. I will never do it again. Look, I know I'm short. I got small hands. I'm not a big dude at all. They talked me into getting a Desert Eagle. Them guns is like this daggone big. It ain't nothing but a handheld AR-15. I shot it. That mug was. I was like, nope, put it back. Put it.
So I can shoot it on a tripod. I think you are absolutely insane trying to shoot that off. Is it even? Well, I guess it is because Black Rambo shoots it all the time.
But like I said, this was before my CCW and anything. But it was one of those things where, again,
you had no idea the power
exactly.
that
It was like, oh no, you got to shoot the 1911. Shoot the 1911. I'm like, all right, bet. Man, that mug. I shot it in that recoil. I saw my life flash before my eyes, and I was like, oh no.
That's not even about the 500. I will not shoot it again. And actually, to me, there are some AR-15s, the Draco shotguns that does not hurt me like that 500 do, and I just don't think I can control it enough because that recoil brings it all the way back up.
My shotgun is, I'm used to it now, but it's AR style, so it packs a punch. And I got the mag that it came with. It only comes with it's a maximum of like 6. I got like the little 10-round drum on it when I shoot it because I don't want to keep reloading because I shoot double-aught buckshot. But in the range, I have to shoot slugs. But when I tell you, like when I first shot it, it's definitely a kick. But I don't know. I get satisfaction in seeing that paper tear, and I'll be like, boy, somebody come in this house. They think they about to get a snake. I'll be ready.
Max said, I start
so
my
excited.
kids on a 22
for LR, long range.
And pistol, and young, they will respect it once they see the targets. So, and I think too that you quickly determine if a 22 is not enough for you. But I think for most children, that's what they should start with. Especially if you're giving them rifles. But again, it's not the guns, y'all. It's the people with the guns.
Yeah.
Guns do not walk out of a safe, put in a code, put in their biometric screen, come out the house, go to a school, and shoot. It's the people.
I was going to say the same thing about cars. Cars don't just turn on and kill people, but we got Teslas now, so yeah.
Stop it.
No, I'm serious. There's some.
I
don't know if you heard about it. A couple of years ago, there was some. Tesla had made some self-driving like semis, and one of them like malfunctioned and they killed a family on the freeway. I forgot what state it was in, but it was like, wow. Okay.
But yeah, so that's what you hear now. Like, when are we gonna do? Or I mean, I got real like I don't understand when people killing children. Why you like guns so much? Because I ain't killing children. I got guns so people won't kill children. If I was in that school, I would have stopped that monkey at the door. That's why I have guns. And that's why most people have them. Most people don't leave the house with their gun, hoping, wishing something happened. I pray. Now, I got to tell my husband, I'm down for it. I'm down for it, but I don't want it to happen. You have to live with that on your conscience. That's still somebody's life, whether they tried to harm you or not. Now, it's a little bit easier to feel good about your conscience when someone is trying to take your life. But I promise you that I will shoot quicker for somebody trying to hurt your children or my children than I would for somebody trying to hurt me. And I think that's when we need to find the median. What are we going to do to protect our schools? We protect the daggone football games. I cannot get into a football game without a clear bag. I can't carry my regular pocketbook into the Ravens Stadium.
Yeah.
But we can just walk willy-nilly into a school. What do we do when we see on a camera? Who's watching the camera? To see that somebody just walked in clearly with 4 guns. Who's watching the camera? You can't hide an assault rifle. A long black trench coat is a sign.
I think America has been through way too many mass shootings, especially at schools, for us not to have this situation rectified by now. It's crazy because now the children are suffering. These are kids, and so even outside of that, rest in peace to the ones that died. The kids who witnessed that or had to experience that are forever going to be haunted by that.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, you got some adults who've murdered themselves, like from Columbine and like those other. What was the other one? I think it was the one beginning for B. It's not coming to me right now. But the other school shooting, most of them kids who witnessed it are not even alive today because they committed suicide. I didn't even know that until it was a special that came on CNN a couple years ago. Like most of them kids committed suicide. And that's insane. However, I also go back to, we keep having these conversations about what we're going to do. My concern is that how many times are we going to have these conversations? No, the answer is not having people purchase guns. Yes, the answer is that you should not be able to do it in 30 minutes. You should not be able to do it in a day. I'm all for a whole 60-day, 90-day evaluation of an individual before you give them a license to kill, because technically that's what you're giving them. When you give us our concealed carry or our wear and carry license, we are now licensed to kill if we have to. Right. So I'm okay with you doing a full background check for as long as it takes.
Nicole, no, we be at Tinley. She'd be like, Dre, I'd be like, you know it.
I'm just saying, you have to I put myself in so many situations. Rest in peace right now. Last night, we learned that one of my niece's cousin, one of her mother's favorite cousin, was murdered in a triple shooting in Baltimore on April 1st, about 8:30. And this guy is one of the coolest laid back guys ever. And how he dies is he visits a friend's daughter. Him and his friend go visit their daughter. The daughter gets into an argument with the neighbor. The neighbor comes kill him, her father. He shot her. She's in critical condition, and her grandmother. Could you imagine if just one of them had a gun? If just one of them had a legal gun? Just one. And that's what it's about. That's why we carry. Your gun doesn't walk out the safe. So that's another thing. Secure your guns. If you can't afford a safe, you don't get the gun. The proper safes are way more expensive than most of the guns, to be honest.
Facts.
If you have 15, you're talking about 11K at some point.
Listen. I just start looking into some ATF items for my AR pistol, and it costs more than a gun. I'm like, plus the tax stamp. I'm like, Jesus.
But that's even with that. People fuss about the weight that they put if you want a suppressor. No. I do question why somebody wants a suppressor, right? But my husband had to break it down to me. Nicole, sometimes it's just going to the range, the outdoor range. Some people who are who have PTSD don't like to hear it, but they still like to shoot, or so they suppress the sound. I'm like, oh, see, I wouldn't have thought about that. I'm just like, why do you want to suppress it anyway?
My AR pistol is more like my fun gun. I take that to the range just to shoot it for fun. Like, I like to shoot it, but not all of my guns are for self-defense or home defense, but because at the end of the day, I'm not the type of person to go out and buy all these guns and not know how to shoot them. So I definitely want to shoot them.
Yeah, and if you spend the money on them, even if it's a sport, like I'm not gonna go ahead and buy a Draco or a 1911 and spend all that kind of money.
I'm damn sure I ain't buying a 1911.
Not shoot it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just America has to do something. They have to do it quickly. I think that they need to work together to come, because one of the things I do think is a problem too is that sometimes the NRA goes too hard, and that's why we can't come to a happy median. Guns don't kill people, stupid. Guns kill people. Exactly.
No. Look at the next comment. I'm sorry, tradesman exotic.
I don't want everyone to hear me taking someone out in my house. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, why do you want a suppressor? Like, why? That's so.
Listen,
but again, perspective. Other people can tell me things. I'm like, okay, enlighten me. I get it now.
Suppressors is expensive. I might have to go the potato route. Way cheaper.
Here they make it like it takes forever. Like, some people have 6 months to get approved for their suppressor, which I'm all for it. Like, again, we're laughing, guys. But we're laughing in a funny sense of, we know that most people who are legal gun owners would never be the person who commits a mass shooting. The problem is that legal gun owners are buying guns and they're not protecting them the way that they should. They take it for granted that people won't come in your house, your kids won't do this, your child won't be inquisitive, because that's another thing. Like, when a kid actually has the parent's gun and they commit this stuff in school, like, how? Like, for me, I cannot fathom how.
I feel like the parents definitely should be
penalized
blamed for that.
Yes.
Severely, because that's not.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's where the gun laws have to change. What is the penalty for a parent who allows a child to access a gun and kill themselves? What is the penalty for a parent who allows a child to access a gun and go and complete a mass shooting? What is the penalty of a parent who lets their mentally disabled son or their mentally disturbed sister come into their house, access a gun, and kill? That is one of the areas where we have.
It should all be the same, because if you or I gets our gun stolen and we don't report it, and that same gun is used in a murder, we're responsible because we never reported it.
Report it.
Exactly.
We're required. So if you don't report it and then something happened, I was giving it, 3 more days. That's not what the laws say. That's not what you
Mm-mm.
signed. That's not what you
Mm-mm.
initialed here before we gave you your license to kill, lady.
You about to get 10, 15. 10 to 15. That's all you, because there's certain things you can't leave up to chance, and that's one of them. That's it.
All I know is this last shooting.
I seen a couple posts about that. People, it's like after every mass shooting, there's some type of conspiracy. One picture was of some Pumas, and then in like the next scene when they had them pinned down on the steps, they had on some Vans. But I wasn't there. None of us was there. Either way, these mass shootings definitely have to stop, because I'm only 30 and I've seen more mass shootings than I've seen anything else. I feel like.
But that tells you something else too. Gun laws don't make it better. Back when our parents was buying guns, there was less gun laws than it is now. So then we made gun laws better. We give them more laws, and then there's more mass shootings.
I mean, we're gonna be honest, and I might get some flack for saying this, but we got some soft ass kids nowadays. Kids are soft as hell. Like,
yeah,
I really feel like that plays a part in it, because you have society telling all of these kids that, oh, you're depressed, you have this going on. Like, no, I'm not depressed. I want a fucking pack of fruit snacks. Like, that's it. And okay, so now, mom told me I couldn't play on the video game, so now I'm gonna go kill some people. It's always
my mom
it's always
video game and kill her.
Or it's always, oh well, this kid grew up going through trauma, so why was nobody helping this kid?
Yep.
Y'all know all of this, and nobody helped this kid.
Deal with the person. Deal with the person who shot. Why do anybody know why this person just shot up the school?
I'm pretty sure they was gonna say they were picked on or something. I don't know.
So where do we teach kids again? Because conflict resolution was a big deal. Because one of the things that's messed up is that a lot of stuff that taught conflict resolution on TV don't teach that anymore. Teach them to shoot and kill. Like if you grow up on the stuff that we grew up on, the cartoons and the TV shows we grew up on, compared to what the kids have now. I mean, shoot, look at Krishan Rock. She's teaching teenagers that you get drunk, high while pregnant and fight your boyfriend. This is the images what kids have. And so every little young person think that this is normal. No, we need to get back to the root of what the issue is. We all grew up with childhood trauma. I keep telling y'all I'm crazy, but no one would allow
I think
will whip my ass. Childhood trauma.
Exactly. That's what I'm about to say. Get back to being in your kid's ass, because they got too much freedom, and that's what it is.
Supportive. Don't get me wrong. Like if we were right, she was by your side. We rolling. What we doing?
Listen,
we down. But if you were not right, our parents were the ones who told us you messed up. You was wrong. That was stupid. They didn't take sides. They didn't say that, because you're my child, because you're my child, I got to stand up for you. No, when your child is wrong, don't stand up for them. They're wrong.
Listen, I couldn't even have, even if I tried to sneak something like that in the house, my parents used to be like, I pay these bills. This is my room too. Bust in my room.
I don't like a door, right?
Oh,
don't go under my bed. My mother will flip that bed if you said on your head if you said some crap like that.
Lock a door. That's a high level of offense in a black household. Like,
Tracy said what drives me crazy is people that leave the guns in their cars. Yep, we were just talking about stuff like that. Like you're just asking for someone to steal. We were just talking about that. And you're responsible whatever happens at that particular point. That's just simple. And that's what, just the cars. Like I said, even in the house, when the grandkids are not here, typically I might have one that's right next to me, But when they come here, that's the first thing we do before they get here. Guns up, yes. We have that conversation. Make sure that they can't access anything that's related to them. But to me, that's common sense. That's even if I don't care about the people in the world, I don't want my grandkids to accidentally harm themselves. Even if the guns were not loaded, a gun can hurt a child. Just the weight of a gun.
Yeah, I don't even want my daughter knowing I have them. Period. And at 3, Ain't no need. What benefit is a 3-year-old going to know that, oh, my daddy has no.
So this was the year that I started to talk to Skylar about it. But Skylar is a very mature. In fact, I don't know if y'all was watching her yesterday. She was on US Arc Florida. I mean, she was on the fundraiser for US Arc Florida. She wanted to say something to Jaden. She was watching him, and whenever she speaks, like the stuff that comes out of her mouth, like when this new video I did with her helping me pull the new clutch of eggs yesterday. When she starts to talk, it's just like she's a whole nother level mature. And Skylar grows up. My daughter lives in Baltimore City. So Skylar wants to be a police officer. She's always said this since she was like 3. So I talk about, when she gets older, taking her to the gun range and things like that. So I do let her see, I let her watch videos of me at the range and, what am I doing to be safe and stuff like that. And she does inquire about, the things that happen in the world. So I have those conversations with her and just let her, Pooh carries a gun. Pooh don't hurt people. Guns don't hurt people. People hurt people. And explain things to her like that. But yes, as a 3-year-old, it would have been no point of having those conversations with her. I don't even think that she would have raised those conversations at that particular time. But there is a point where I think that when a child gets to grade school, that you start to have those conversations. You know why? When that kid does bring that gun to school, and Skylar does see it, she will know to notify somebody immediately. Because a lot of times that's what, kids think it's just cool. Oh, so-and-so has a gun in school. They get to playing with it and something happens. Skylar would know, why does this kid, it will be a big alert for her. And she would know to go get somebody and tell somebody immediately. And she would know to be discreet about it, because I also teach her about everybody's intention with guns are not good. So even if it's a child, you don't want to say, oh, I'm going to go tell them on you. You don't know what that child's going to do. Mm-hmm. And that's the world we live in now. We don't know the 7-year-old would actually shoot another 7-year-old. That was unheard of at some point.
Do you know how crazy it is to hear you say that? A 7-year-old will shoot. That's crazy.
A 7-year-old would shoot. And that's just insane. I mean, it happens all the time on the news. I think y'all had not too far from you where the kid accidentally shot the brother accidentally shot his sister. They were 2 babies pretty much.
Those were friends of mine, actually.
Oh, like how does that happen?
They're doing good. But that was just recklessness.
129 mass shootings this year alone. That's crazy. Well, part of it too is, y'all, one of the things I always say, like even right before I retired, that my job after COVID became totally different with dealing with people. People changed. People turned into, it's almost like some type of virus just turns people into like these evil zombies. Like everybody's under pressure right now with the economy and stuff like that. Like some of us are blessed to have support. I'm blessed to have a husband to lean on. There's a woman out here taking care of her kids right now, going to work every single day, tired when she come home, and she can't do nothing but get up the next day and do it again because she has nobody to lean on. At some point, when does that mother crack? When does that child who is neglected because their mother have to work 3 jobs? When do they crack? When does that child who was neglected and left with people that they were not safe to be around and afraid to say something? When do that child crack? That's what America has to deal with. We have to deal with the issues in the world, starting with our economy. Because if we don't think we know that, right? But I think a lot of kids who are going through don't understand that with their parents suffering through this economy, their parents suffering through these last 3 years in the United States, their parents suffering does impact them. My grandchild, I tell my daughter all the time, I can tell when she's content based on the things she say and how she is when she comes here. Kids will show stress in different ways. And I always tap into my grandchildren, how was this? How is home? How was that? Like, I want to have those conversations. They ain't got to be nowhere. They can be here. And you ain't got to be miserable nowhere. And I always let them know that. But everybody don't have the outlet. Everybody don't have a grandma house to go to. It used to be that way. What are we doing about those people? And that is the problem with guns in America. We're not fixing what's causing people to go crazy enough to pick up a gun and go to a school where children are. That is what puzzles me. I get people going crazy, and I'm not saying I get it, but you know what I'm saying? I get you went crazy, you snapped, and you went and killed 2 adults. That's not right.
As an adult, it's still not right, but it's more understandable than a child doing it.
Right.
And I think also teach your kids to be kind. Stop raising bullies, because some of these kids out here is like, what gives you the nerve to pick on somebody? No. Well,
that's the lack of love. Again, when you're not loved, you go to school and try to take that unworthiness out on other people, especially when you see other people who are loved. When you see those other children whose parents are there for them, cheering for them and things like that, those kids become so hateful. They become evil people. They become bullies. They become people who are seeking a way to harm others. But it goes back to what Traceman was saying, is that that's what we need to deal with. We took a lot out of the schools as far as extracurricular activities and after school curricular activities. And that has played a big impact in kids. And I would tell you that growing up, after school programs was an outlet for children who did not have anybody loving them at home. That was their school program.
I hated mine.
So we had it where we actually had it was like cultural arts. So you had dance classes there, you had piano classes, like all that type of stuff there. But then you take that away, especially from urban communities. What do they have? Nothing but the corners in the streets and parents who are not there to help and support them, even do homework. Why you think the educational system is so bad? There are certain things that you just cannot get through without proper parenting. And we are seeing the result of a world of younger generations having babies at a younger age. Even the parents who have good intentions struggling in an economy to keep these kids healthy and safe and keep their mental stability at the same time. And so therefore, it's a lot of people cracking, a lot of men cracking. What strikes a man to kill his entire family? And I said, other than the fact that some men were raised on, you must be a provider. Could you imagine taking that from him? Like, that's part of his DNA. Is he worthy of living? And if I have to leave here, I love my family. I mean, as crazy as that seems, I love my family enough that I want to take them with me. That is what's happening in the world. And we need to get to the root of our mental concerns and our mental issues. And then something that, a lot of people say, and I'm not a naturally kind person. What I mean by that, I'm kind in different ways. I am a person, because I was raised with my mother, who don't pretty much sugarcoat my responses to people. But I've learned that some people love that. Like, that's where a lot of my great relationships come from. The people who said, damn it, I'm gonna call Nicole and she's gonna give it to me real. But finding that balance to understand that everybody can't get that delivery the same, that's hard for me. And I'll admit that. One of the things that Ray say all the time is just, remember to be kind, because you never know what somebody's going through. And my theory is they don't know what I'm going through either. But you know what I'm saying? But the reality of it is that they definitely may not be going through. I may not be going through what they're going through. And so that's just trying to be more conscious of that. I don't know no other way. For many years, that's just how we are. We're like that as siblings. I
was always raised, no matter what you're going through, somebody always has it worse. So I always try to be humble about, because everybody has problems.
I do. I'm humble in that way, but when you start to mess with me, like, so if that's how you feeling, don't start with me. That's how I feel, because it's you now started. So don't try to pull me in and just say, okay, slow the glass. I had a bad day yesterday. Well, you should have thought about that, because now you done made me have a bad day. So everybody's gonna have a bad day. But I try so hard to get better at that, because my intent is definitely to make things for those type of people easier. But I do think that it's just because you're going through something, you don't have to be mean. And so don't pick me to be mean with, because naturally I can be meaner. So try not to do that, But I don't go picking with people either. Like, I don't wake up and poking at people. I refuse. I've
never been that type. I've never been that type because you never know what you're getting yourself into, and no matter how long it takes, you're gonna push that person to the brink.
Yep. All right, so let's see. That's cause they never got a Shinklata. Oh,
Hey,
whoop it. The first shooting ever that I remember vividly is Columbine. Yep.
can't forget about you, Valdi, or those kids got, those kids. It happened. The
And the
anniversary for
one
that
in
is
New
coming up
Jersey,
in May.
Sandy Springs. That was because that was
Yeah,
kind of close to us. Yeah, like that
Sandy.
Sandy
It was
Springs.
Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook.
Sandy Hook. Yeah. Where's that, mom? Because I need protection too.
Hey, you too grown now, man. You be all right.
Thankfully, my maternal grandparents were there to give me my love, support, but only when I was younger. Yeah, so and that's what like I said, I always tell the story. I love like one of the things that my husband teaches me because life was so different for us. Like I always had like my mom and dad 110% raised, and my dad died living with us, and we just never, I never had that separation where his life growing up was totally different. But I can tell you that him growing up the way he did placed so much more value on who I become because he's made me a better woman because of his humbleness and his appreciation for certain things that I never, I guess I kind of took for granted because it always was that way for me. But then when you hear stories of someone who didn't have it and what my husband and others go through, when they don't have not the love part, but even just, their parents, or your parents struggle for different reasons and stuff like that. He was raised by two amazing grandparents, so it makes him great. But that missing of, a mom who was taken away from him at a very early age and a dad who struggled with his issues it's tough. But I mean, even with him, I always have to think about that. And I try not to, y'all hear me say all the time, I try not, because he does so much for me, ask him to do anything extra because he really does so much for me. I'm more of the wife that's like, no, sit down, don't do this, give yourself a break type of thing, because I think for him, he overcompensates sometimes, if that makes sense, with just being so grateful for what the family and the dynamic that he did build. He's so grateful for it that he overcommits himself to, I think, all of us, me as a wife, his kid, his kids and everything. I think that he gives a lot of himself, and we got to be conscious of them because men carry burdens too. I feel it because we don't have grandmas anymore. They all out in the streets wilding out instead of helping out with the younger generation, keeping them in check. Yeah. Or grandmas who don't hold the kids accountable too. My daughter even says she thinks that I'm, you're judgmental of me. I'm not judgmental of me. Just certain things I don't understand with you young people. Like certain things you just like. I'll give you an example. You call me, you FaceTime me, and my grandchild is not in a seatbelt, and you in a car. I don't care what you said. I didn't hear nothing else you said. I just blanked out right at that particular point. And so yes, it's mother going in. I don't care. You might even gonna call me, tell me happy birthday. All I see is my grandchild not in the seatbelt in the car.
She ain't lying.
I mean, like that's, you back me out. I'm no, that's not okay. And then if you tell your kids that, or like as parents, that was just automatic, y'all. Remember, we were even so on point when we turn that car seat a certain way, we double check in, and kids don't do that shit. They just throw their kids in the car.
Don't let them see their grandbaby without no hat and coat.
That too. Like, so no, it's not that I'm judging you. No, I'm telling you that's not okay.
Yeah.
I went to nature for my therapy. We had a creek behind our apartments. I spent a lot of time there as a teenager or in nature somewhere. Nature definitely helps me too, even now as an adult. When I tell my husband, take me to the water, he already know I'm having something going on.
Take me to the water.
Take me to the water.
Please don't. Let's not.
Take me to the water. My mother never held my kids accountable. They would be on restriction, and when she watched them, she would let them to do whatever they wanted. They drove me nuts.
Sounds about right.
She did the same when I watched my brother and he broke the rules. So I think for my grandkids it's different. Now with my kids out, My grandkids, it is different, but I won't let them harm themselves and I won't let them be disrespectful. Like it's just certain things that's just it's still a no with me. Like yes, you might get more than your mother, than your mother got, as far as being spoiled. Like they do pretty much, they got me like that. But when it comes to discipline, we disciplines. Hey Nicole, I got those hoodies. Thank you very much. They are awesome. Yay! You're welcome, Shane.
Finally about time. I feel special. I finally got mine. It's only been like a year. You know what I'm saying?
That's your fault.
I appreciate it.
I won't go into the whole story, but it's your fault. All right, so guys, it is what? We did an hour and a half today. So I'm about to take some exciting news. The grandkids are going over to Aussie's for the first time today. So we're going to take them over there. Sky, after Sky comes back, she's going to realize that I'm not that incredible as she thought I was when she goes to Aussie's. She's going to realize that there's something greater. But she's excited, and hopefully she gets to see some eggs actually like Pippin or something like that today. But I know he got a bunch of clutches that's happening, and we're going to take Jaden too. So I think Michael's going to go too. So yeah, so that's going to be fun. So we're going to be hitting up that way shortly. So I don't know. Like I always get to Aussies and never take footage. I'm going to remember to take the camera and try to take some footage today. Because I think it's going to be really cool with Sky being there for the first time. But so thank you guys. This was definitely, a different type of subject, but we definitely wanted to touch on it because it's been a lot of conversation. And I think you guys understand enough now. And that's good. I love our chats. No one got too emotional. And I think for the most part, we agree as Americans here in this chat that some laws
a lot of us are also gun owners too. So I mean,
Right. It's that naturally snakes and guns go together. I mean, just saying. Most people like snakes are nature people, and most people who like nature like guns or have guns. Let's say that. Or they do them as a sport. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. We just have to continue to press the message. We can't love our guns so much that we can't agree that definitely there has to be some upgrading on the laws to protect our children and people who don't otherwise want to carry guns. I don't think everybody in the world should have to. I think it's a shame that we feel like we have to. But we have.
If they make guns completely illegal and nobody could have guns, I would be okay. And that's the problem. That's the problem. That's what I'm saying. Like you just said.
If they can fix the problem with the criminals, like if you can literally get guns off the street from the criminals, then there would be no need for nobody to have a gun.
I get more questions about why I have an AR-15. Listen, I'm not shooting up schools, so you don't need to question me.
Exactly. And like I said, mine stays locked up. Like unless I'm going to an outdoor range somewhere, it's locked up. The shotgun is locked up unless they're going to the gun range somewhere. Now where it's not is where my husband resides. We have systems for the house. But it's just like no one intends, law-abiding citizen intends to harm people. We hope we never do. But I do think that the bottom line, we need to make laws consistent across the states, period. And bottom line, we have to understand that you have to learn gun safety. And we also have to set a precedent and a protocol of when and when not to shoot. And a lot of states have that. It's just not consistent. So we got to do better. And more importantly, think about how we're going to protect our schools for real. Do you put metal detectors at the front? People say, I don't want metal detectors in my school. They are in the football stadium. You take them to a football game. What's the issue? So you want people to walk past where they can get in with guns? That doesn't make sense to me. I'm all for metal detectors at school. I'm all for police sitting there. I'm all for the state marshals sitting in the school.
I personally feel like instead of doing all of these lottery winnings and mega millions, use that money and put it into protecting these kids, because I don't understand why that's so hard for us to do.
Right. And
you don't hear about mass shootings you don't hear about mass shootings anywhere else except in America, at least at this level.
Well, part of that too is you don't hear about a lot of crime other places because of the penalties. Like there are some countries that people would never steal it. You won't pee on the ground in Dubai. You won't.
Yeah, just like certain countries, you can't even have, nobody has guns.
Right.
But I digress. I'm
So,
just a
I mean,
black
that's
American
all
citizen.
that needs to be considered. And like I said, I'm just glad that in this chat, these Americans can have these conversations without getting so passionate about it that it's an argument, because we're not going to get anywhere if the people who don't believe in guns and the people who believe in them and the NRA and all these other people don't come to some type of common ground. We're going to continue to see mass shootings in schools. And I think that what we need to, which is crazy, but what we need to do is protect our children. And if it means put metal detectors, U.S. Marshals, Army, whoever you want to put there, or allow teachers to be able to safely carry, and if you don't want them to carry in the school, who is in that office? They should have one locked in a safe in a desk, something. So when you hear that first shot, or when you see that person walking through on the camera with clearly an AR-15, because he didn't hide it, she couldn't hide that, with an AR-15, what do we do next? And 911 is not the answer. It's not. It's too long.
No, it's that. Right, it's that, but at the school shooting before this, I think, which also was in Texas, when they wouldn't even go into school, but they was trying to arrest people for going in to get their kids.
Right.
They wasn't
and the
trying to help.
Citizen actually stopped that one, wasn't it? That was a regular citizen who stopped that shooter. So again, that's what we need to talk about. And we'll see what happens with it. I honestly think that this is going to be something else that happens, and then we'll be having this conversation again, as we do. As Americans, we're very reactive and not proactive. But I think that we need to definitely, when it comes to the schools and churches, the armor of God is not protecting churches alone. So therefore, you need to determine, do you want metal detectors? What do you want to protect y'all before your flock before they come in?
Right.
I have no problem with going into church with metal detectors. I have no problem with my kids going to the school with metal detectors.
It's crazy because here in the high schools, there's cops. There's like 2 cops in every high school. Why do we not have that in elementary schools?
And it used to be way back, in the day, because funding became an issue. LKB said teachers will never carry because parents won't let them. And so that's my thing. So parents, what do you want? Do you want somebody to be able to come in here and shoot and kill your children? Or do you want somebody to be the first line of defense to protect them? That is insanity to me. That is insanity to me.
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
We had armed cops in our school right the front. Yeah, back in the day, we used to have them too. I mean, and the crazy, this stuff didn't happen, right? Because I would never think that's why my school people were there. My school police was there. I just thought they was there to stop fights. You know what I mean? I never thought now that I'm older,
that was the worst that was gonna happen.
Right.
Because I was just raised, and I get it. Not everybody's raised the same, but there were just certain things that I know. If I did, I couldn't face my parents. I couldn't. There's just certain things I couldn't do. Listen. If I went to commit a crime like that, take me to jail, because I'm not going to look my dad in the face. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
But that type of fear isn't instilled in kids anymore. You got kids raising their parents and telling them what they should be doing, and you need to do better. Man, listen. You can call it abuse. You can call it what you want, but I know for sure I'd have been smacked up and plastered on somebody's wall if I talked to anybody in my house like that.
Right.
But now it's don't hit your kids. You can't whoop your kids. Kids will call you call nine. My dad was like, you call 911 on me, you going with them. I don't.
My mother's favorite line when you would say something like that was, "Hold on, call him back and tell him to bring the coroner." He was gonna die. She would hit you with that line in a minute. You gonna do what? Wait a minute. Call him back and tell him bring the coroners. Because I'm going to choke the crap out of you. Like, I still don't play with my mother. My mother still.
No way. Certain things, and I'm just like,
And that's it. I think that's a part too. Like instilling value of life into kids. That a lot of that has left. Or like I always say to my grandkids when they playing too rough sometimes, because sometimes Skylar could take her brothers out. And I'd be like, Sky, you gotta be careful. You hit them the wrong way. It's not like a video game. They don't come back. You don't get another heart. You don't hit A. Like it's not gonna happen. They're gone. So stop playing like that. And I think just instilling that into children, that even when you play rough, sometimes it can cause the loss of life, it's important, like having those conversations. And our kids, conversations have to start earlier. It's not like we could wait until they were 15 and have certain conversations. You got to have certain conversations when they're like 7, 8 years old, like one stand literally. Yeah. Imagine how many kids have been shot in mass shootings who just had no idea that a mass shooting was even possible. Couldn't even heard the shots, just sitting there thinking, I'm in school.
And that's sad because it's unfortunate and it's sad because what parent would think that their second or third grader would have to worry about that at that age? You know what I'm saying?
But they do now.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part. Just imagine thinking that you have time and you don't. That's the sad part.
Well, yeah, I know that's right, tradesman. It says put a retake at every door. I bet they think twice about walking up to that door. But these crazy people will shoot the retake. So you know what I'm saying? Like it's like the person who is doing that don't care. Like they just don't care. Like you don't care about you because you're even putting yourself in a situation. Like anybody who goes in that situation knows that I may not come out of this alive. They already are willing to die for whatever. And we don't have teachers that's in there or other personnel, janitors or whatever. Like I said, anybody in the school who can legally carry should be allowed to. And to somebody else comment, I think it was LKB. The problem is that there are many teachers who will probably want to, but the parents will never let. So now you have to make a decision of what level of protection do you want? Because if it's my kid, I want all levels of protection. I want the principal to have one.
I want you to protect my kid like I would protect my kid. That's it. I want you to protect my kid like I would protect my kid. Like I would protect yours.
Yeah. Because I guarantee you, if I look outside right now and someone's dragging a kid into a car and the kid's screaming, and it's not their daddy and it's not their mama, I'm going to do all I can to save your child.
Listen, what Nate Dogg say? Regulators, mount up. We outside.
Criminals are afraid of snakes. KT, that's absolutely true. But I just like those people, they're not afraid of anything.
It's funny because when you talk to certain people who own snakes are criminals. Somebody told me, I posted a TikTok and somebody said, oh yeah, because drug dealers and criminals love reptiles. And I was like, bitch, I work for corporate America. What do you mean?
Okay.
I was just like, just imagine getting
if you say so.
This was a black girl. I was just
if you say
so. I could have went in, but I didn't. I ain't gonna be that person. Jeez.
It's crazy, but it's going to get better, and we just gotta work together. It can't be an argument, though. I think that's what I see, like people scream at each other, and both sides are right. Yes, there has to be better laws, but it's not laws that takes away people having guns. It needs to allow people to have guns legally, law-abiding citizen, where you can even record and record it and follow that and track that gun, but where we also have to improve is the rights of the citizens to use their legally carried gun, because right now the criminals have one up on us. We have to follow all of these rules where they don't care about them. And unless you can get criminals to want to be law-abiding citizens, we're never going to win that fight.
It's always going to be an argument, though. Just because
is it worth it though if those same people kill your kids? I don't understand if I understand that one, Ashley. Okay, maybe she's hold on. Says I'm not against them. I have them myself. However, when it comes to this topic, I don't feel it's worth it in the end, especially not with the way this country is today. Ashley, elaborate on when you say worth it. I think that's the part I'm confused on. Is what worth it? Having the guns or having the teachers with the guns. People will look at some different when they find out they job positions and be playing with rep.
What up, Justin? But yeah, I don't know. People feel like they have to choose a side, and then you get politics involved. It's always going to be an argument.
I mean, I just don't think it's a side. Like, I think it's a balance.
I don't think
like
I don't think it is either. But when you have people that literally worship politicians.
Okay, got you. So let me answer that. When you say when the same people will kill the kids, so assuming that I'm understanding you actually correctly, is that you have a law-abiding citizen carrying a gun, and that person can actually be the person who killed the kid. I would say that's hardly ever going to happen. And that's just the reality of it. Can it happen? Yes, we talked about that. Like, I can snap one day. You know, I don't think no one premeditate their snapping abilities. But what most people have to go through, like what I have to go through to get a gun, by the time I actually get that license, the government have spoken to enough people about me to understand what type of person they're about to license, right? They've done a background to see what I've done in my past. They ask you questions, like you have to do an interview, and they ask you questions to kind of trip you up on them and your mentalities. Like, it's a lot that you go through that process. So I think that once those people go through that process, I'm not going to say that it could never happen, but the odds of a person legally carrying a gun protecting your child versus a person legally carrying a gun harming your child is slim to none. And that's just statistically. Like, other than domestic, very seldom domestic, outside of domestic, the person who is harming a child with a gun is a person who is legally in possession of their gun, or a child who should be in possession of their gun, if that makes sense. But I do understand, if I understand you correctly, I understand what you're trying to say. Yes, that will always be a thought, but when has that ever happened? That's how we got to start thinking about statistically. When has the person in the church legally or the person in the school legally shot a child? I can't say never because I don't recall. It could be something I don't know, but I can say I never have that on record, that the person who committed it in church or outside the church legally had a gun, except for the guy in South Carolina, the white guy in South Carolina. What was his name?
I can't.
But he had it under South Carolina laws. With South Carolina laws, it's like 7-Eleven. You can go in, show your ID, come back out with a gun. That's the problem. That's the problem. Okay, B, I work at a college, and these officers are not even in shape. So, yeah, something goes down here. They couldn't run 20 yards. Oh, down. Well, definitely replay this one. I missed it. Oh, I'm sorry, Pike. I thought you was in here earlier. I'm sorry. But yeah, so it's definitely one to replay, one to think about. Some great conversation, and we appreciate you all. But I got to get the kids ready and up to head over to Ozzy's. And I will talk to you guys later. Everybody have an amazing Monday. Do not forget, if you did not get a chance to watch the fundraiser, just go back and on Instagram under Jay's Arc of Life, I think it is. But y'all know Jay's Reptiles. Yeah.
I think he changed it. Jay's Arc of Life. You're right.
Yeah, Jay's Reptiles. But if you go and you just see what he was doing, it was amazing. It was fun to watch. And he stuck in it their whole 36 hours and more. So support him
safely.
Get a chance to please make sure that you put in a donation to FWC. Yes, carry safely, be a good representation of a responsible gun owner, and work with your local authorities to find a happy median. But I think federally we have to make sure that we're all on the same playing field when it comes to how we achieve these deadly weapons, because they are very deadly weapons. So until then, peace.